I've been watching this dental group. I don't know if Kaela's going to let me call it that. They are one of the most advanced dental groups. I don't want to call DSO if you don't want to be called a DSO. I don't know what's friendly. They're awesome. They're super innovative. You guys are going to really enjoy this. Kaela and I debriefed earlier, and some of her perspectives on different things are top of mind for you. So I know that you are going to really enjoy the next 15 to 16 minutes. By the way, Kaela, I heard from one of our 3 listeners yesterday on LinkedIn. She hit me up and she said, I love all your content. I'm one of the 3. And I said, holy, now we just have 2 more to find. Kaela, welcome to Ignite.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I've loved all of your content on LinkedIn for so long. I feel like I'm a super fan. So like the fact that I'm actually was invited to be on the podcast, I'm like, this is cool. This is really cool. So
that's very cute. The team will love hearing that. And listen, I thought she was going to say she's been listening to podcasts. So we might have found our second of the 3, guys.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's okay. You'll be listening to at least this episode. I have no doubt. Or you'll listen to the sound of your voice, which creeps me out. And I feel bad for all of our editors. They have to listen to it all day. Kaela, where do you work and where do you work from?
I work for Tend Dental, and I work out of primarily New York City hub, but I live outside of Philadelphia.
And they're playing the Cowboys tonight, not to date this, and we have no doubt how that is going to go. Prescott's going to put up 40 points, both in fantasy and in real life, and still lose. Well, they're still going to lose.
Still lose. Okay, as long as he
still
loses.
Lose. I haven't finished Jerry's documentary. We'll get to that at some point. But Kaela, what is Tend? How big is Tend?
Yeah, so Tend, like you said, I like how you kind of threw around DSO a little bit without kind of getting into it. We're smaller in the DSO space, right? Like we have 33 locations based out of New York, DC, Boston, Atlanta, Connecticut, and Nashville. So we started in Nashville and now we've just kind of expanded out.
I did not know you started in Nashville. Okay.
Yeah, we started as a hub in Nashville. Our first location was actually in Flatiron, New York. So we started kind of building our corporate office in Nashville and then moved over to New York as like where we were going to plant our roots. But
very cool.
Yeah, we're about to celebrate our 6-year anniversary since inception. So looking forward to that for early October.
Yeah, that's good. 30 locations is what you said, right? And they don't call them clinics, guys. They call them studios and they look really unique. And you can reschedule by texting. I'm telling you guys, this is Lauren, our CGO's favorite provider, DSO, MSO thing in the country. She loves all things Tend. So they are very advanced. Don't let the 30 locations fool you. Some of the stuff that they're doing is really cool. First of all, the first question I want to ask, because it's on top of mind and you see on the LinkedIn content, everybody comments whenever I say this word, is Reddit. Why are you interested in Reddit? What are you guys doing to prepare for it? Or do something with it.
Yeah. So I think like Reddit's very interesting. I've had Reddit for, I feel like forever, and I've used it in different capacities for my own personal use. We actually ran this AI brand audit when I saw one of your posts talking about Reddit's going to be one of the key places for ChatGPT to get content, and sourcing is coming from Reddit. And so I thought, all right, well, what does it look like when we actually go on ChatGPT and we search like, is Tend a great place to go? And we didn't find like a ton of favorable posts, right? And so I think it was like a really hard look in our face of like, great, we feel like internally we're an amazing company. I believe that we are too, but what does the outside perception look like? And taking kind of like a look in the mirror and seeing what that is. And knowing that so much content is coming from Reddit, and that's where the negativity was kind of brewing, we're like, let's just nip that in the bud right off the bat and let's figure out how we can actually overcome all of that. I do think that there's such a crazy opportunity here for Reddit to evolve. I think there's going to be Reddit influencers. I know everybody's probably tired of hearing about influencers in general. I think there's just regular like affiliate marketing influencer fatigue. And I think that Reddit influencers are going to be a thing. I think that authenticity, feeling like you're talking to a friend, being in these really exclusive, not necessarily exclusive, but like being in these subreddits that are exactly like where you want to be. I think there's a ton of opportunity to tap into like really niche audiences. And so my team started building out, our own Tend subreddit. We have our own Reddit. Our chief dental officer, Dr. Chris Salerno, has been going on and commenting under, dentist subreddits, dental hygienist subreddits. And I thought it was really interesting. He commented on one person who was asking, like in New York, like, is this normal? And he comments and his thing is like Dr. Chris at Tend, right? So it's not anything like hidden or anonymous. And they're like, I actually saw one of your lectures. And so for us, this not only is around a brand perception, but talent acquisition marketing, like pipeline, and how do we increase that? And so I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to start really building this out and coming off as really authentic in a space that wasn't always favorable for us to begin with. So I'm putting some eggs in the Reddit basket this year.
Yeah, that's good. And quick caveat, I'm assuming you're doing that all because your media is in a good place. We'll get back to media, but I'm assuming I don't want everybody jumping at Reddit before the media is in a good place, and we do audits every day and the media is not in a good place and we should not be talking Reddit. Back to Reddit. Guys, when you're interviewing for a job, you heard it here first. Ask your chief medical or dental officer, are you willing to go on Reddit and answer people's questions?
Yeah, he's going to do an AMA soon. Yeah, so we're prepping for our first AMA, which is crazy.
Yeah, and we'll see how that goes. And can you give like real answers without being like, and this is not, so I guess you have to dance like a lawyer a little bit on that. Why the explosion of, I understand somewhat of the explosion of Reddit because of the LLMs are indexing and so is Google. It's a big thing. Is there anything else? Like why did this all of a sudden come to be so exciting and influential?
Yeah, I think that just the authentic part of Reddit is something that I'm really interested in. I really like, as I think about it as a user, that's where I'm going for things. If I want to dig into like a Google review even further, I'm searching on Reddit. My husband uses Reddit for car stuff, right? And so it's like, there's such a big opportunity to tap into so much knowledge. It's like our millennial Wikipedia, I feel like.
I was going to say, where did we used to go? Facebook groups, but it doesn't pertain to like I'm not in a dental Facebook group.
You can't be unless you're a dentist, like how do you hack in?
Where did the landscapers all let me in? Where did the traffic come from? Where are we coming? Where did we used to get this information? That's been on my mind lately.
And I feel like if you have so before I was in the dental space, I was in the vet space as well. And so, I mean, I was really working super closely with all of my veterinarians, like what's the insider scoop, and trying to figure it out from them because they were allowed to be in these groups and I wasn't. And so like Reddit is just a public forum and you're like, cool, I can see the insider thoughts. And, even the dentist question, like dentist subreddit is interesting because it's dentists and it's people who have questions for dentists. So it's not like you're just hearing like a siloed version of what you want to hear. You're just seeing a ton of different people responding. And for me, like that's also really interesting, right? Because that's kind of like the voice of the consumer. And for us to be like, what are they actually saying about going to the dentist? What are they saying about this experience? And kind of like molding our brand voice a little bit to help answer questions they might have.
So wild. And I think I like your husband already. I spend most of my day doing card nonsense and then I don't do anything about it because I don't have time. So it's interesting too, because the LLMs have forced us to look at our businesses, the reputation, the brand perception and PR matters again and all that stuff. So it's like a Google, but it makes us better at the business facts actually matter. Just real quick, and we don't have to dive into the nitty gritty. What did you do? You went to chat and you say, hey, listen, what would earn us a recommendation for dentist in Philly or New York or Nashville? Is that what you did? Just help everybody understand tactically, what do you do? How do you figure out brand perception?
Yeah, actually SEMrush has been really oddly helpful. I know I don't want to like pitch, company here or anything like that, but they ended up having this AI tool, right? And I was like, well, let's just put my domain in here and see what happens when I run this. And some of the new functionality that they have has been really helpful for us. And that kind of actually like was our baseline, right? Like, here's what our positive perception is right now. Here's areas of where we could be increasing. And I think that for us was the eye opener, right? We're like, okay, here's where we know we need to improve. And then SEMrush gives you ideas of like, here's content gaps that you have. And so for us, we're like, okay, where do we start really drilling into those content gaps and filling them? And where do we own the market? And where do we need to get better? So I mean, that was like our big starting point. We did just say to ChatGPT in every market, we asked the same questions, like, would you recommend, 10 dental to a friend in Boston? Would you recommend them to DC? So those were questions we were asking. And then we were also saying, what keywords are people searching and what's the general sentiment of Tend in this market, right? And so we took all that together, put it back in ChatGPT. And we did this like not just in ChatGPT, we did it on Perplexity, on Claude, on Gemini, on Grok. We did it everywhere so that we were like, we don't want to live in this bubble of just thinking Tend is amazing. We were like, look, we know we have flaws and we are reading them in Google reviews. Like, Alex, between you and I, like well, and all of our 2 listeners
There's only 2 more.
Like we were seeing like pretty flat, like 4.4 Google ratings month over month as a company. And it wasn't going up, it wasn't going down. And we're like, okay, so we got to do something on our own here. And I think that was for us, like our big moment of like, this is our way. If we're not going to get an influx of reviews that are all rave reviews, how do we change that narrative? And this was our out, I guess. So we're only about 45-ish days into having a Reddit. We've seen a lot of positive response from it already. And like we're seeing traffic come from Reddit, which I was pretty surprised by. I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody read this post. So we'll take it. We get a couple downvotes when we go into select markets. And then other people are like, I love Tend. And I'm like, cool, great. Yeah. So we're doing it. We've got a great team who keeps an eye on everything too, which is good.
That's good. And the goal wasn't probably to drive traffic and leads. It was more to help brand perception, LLM recommendations and all of that stuff. But hey, if it helps, it helps. And I do notice almost every search after the first or second position, it's just all Reddit queries. I think part of the reinvigoration of the platform is that we're tired of the robots, dude. I don't think people trust the shit that they're getting back on Google or even the LLMs. It's a regurgitation of what's on Google. Like, I think that's part of what this is. Humans want to hear from humans until they extinguish us. Healthcare marketers, what's up? It's Alex from the future. Guess what? Scaling Up, the Healthcare Performance Marketing Summit is back. Scaling Up is focused entirely on driving patient acquisition to your group. So you're talking the largest provider groups, health system leaders, everything it takes to drive a patient to your practice or health system, from media, BI, analytics, performance creative, SEO, AI, because we've got to have that acronym in there. October 28th and 29th, thousands of healthcare marketers are going to be showing up to this. It's virtual and it is free. That's the best part. Last 2 years, we were charging for it. This year, I want every healthcare marketer to come. We need to connect more patients with care. We all do. We all need to do it together. I'll see you there. Scaling Up. Going back to like chat content, I know you're a big believer in making content interesting for healthcare. I thought that was kind of interesting that you don't feel it has to be all snooze fest.
No, I mean, how many people have we all talked to, right? That are like, I used to be afraid of going to the dentist. And I like read these books to my young kids and there's like illustrations of dentists who look awful and evil and scary. And you're just like, with a drill, like, and it's like this menacing, like doctor over top of the chair. Of course, like, I also think back to, when I was 26 years old off my parents' insurance for the first time and had to call the dentist on my own to book an appointment. Like, that's where the anxiety started. And then the anxiety started of like, who am I going to sit in the chair with? Yeah. And so it's like, all right, well, how do you actually make dental done differently, which is one of our taglines, and looking forward to the dentist actually a thing? How do you actually walk the walk, right? And I think that's been one of the things where I'm like, we can have fun. Are we jumping on the Taylor Swift, opportunities after her engagement? Of course we are, right? Like, but that's our target audience too, who resonates with that. So I think that's a big thing that like, I don't want to be like, oh my gosh, everybody go copy what all the brands are doing. It's just kind of like, that's who our audience is. They like The Summer I Turned Pretty. They like, Taylor Swift. They like that kind of stuff. 80% of our members and our employees are women. So we kind of know who we're talking to a little bit when we start out on any of our content.
That's interesting. So 2 things there, guys. You got to know who your target audience is. Not everybody, and Tend obviously knows it very well. And then you can have fun and be relatable in healthcare without breaking the HIPAA constraints and all that stuff. I think it's really important that we all get more relatable because it just seems so bland, the stuff that we're seeing. So I think that's really interesting. And you know your audience well. And I think that also tends to be one of the insights that you have gleaned about healthcare marketing, is that you find that patients need reassurance as much as information. Tell me about that.
Yeah. As a woman in healthcare, I think a lot of times we're afraid to speak up if something, doesn't feel right or sound right. I think that's one of the hardest things to overcome, being in a chair, or how do you like speak up and advocate for yourself? When I think about like our teams and how we treat people who come into our studios, that's one of the big areas that I'm just like really passionate about. And I think all of our teams are very passionate about making sure people feel heard and that they understand what's happening and why we're suggesting what we're suggesting, instead of just saying, you need a root canal, or, oh, you need this. Like, I think giving the education also helps ease that anxiety and feel more connected and be like, I'm not just another number, especially when you're, a chain, a DSO, et cetera.
And you train your teams differently too.
Yeah. Our teams definitely have that more compassion. I think it's not just the headphones and the TV on the ceiling that help. It's like, I've gone in before and I've gone in before, and like, can you just like hold my hand for like 20 seconds? I'm like afraid when you're going to give me like this shot. I just need like, it's going to be okay type of thing, or like rub my arm or something. Not everybody likes that, but for me personally, I'm like, just knowing that I feel like I have like a partner in the room with me instead of like somebody super clinical who's just going to like drill away is a different scenario for what we do at Tend.
It's important. And the point being, like, marketing can say all the right things and Tend has a wonderful website, but then the teams have to also believe in that, be trained on the persona, and also like have different ways they go about doing business to reinforce what marketing's been saying on the website and the whole reason they got the booked appointment. So talking about your goals for the rest of the year, you have very similar goals to just about everyone else. Lower CAC and drive higher conversions, but you also believe in driving the right conversions. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I feel like this is a big thing. One of the areas that I want to focus on is, of course, numbers look good. Being private equity backed, like I want my numbers to look great when I'm sitting in front of the board. But at the same time, I want to make sure I have quality people who are actually going to show up. One of the areas that we realized prior to opening a studio is we were running, coming soon ads, and we were seeing a ton of traffic coming from Meta. We're all like, hell yeah, put more money in Meta and then give it to Mark, Then the next thing I know is like, there's a 69% cancellation, like no-show cancellation rate for those appointments. And I'm like, okay, psych, just kidding. Like, let's shift gears. But, being able to have insights to those analytics has actually been really helpful for me too. Like, I would rather put the money into a channel that I know is going to work. Now, it's not saying Meta doesn't work. Like, I'm not trying to sit here and be like, it doesn't work for us. It does, but it's more of like that post-open type of messaging that we're doing, and less of the coming soon and trying to get people. I mean, how many times are you like that late night scrolling and you're like, yeah, I want that, add it to cart or sign up for this. And next thing you know, in the morning, you're like, I didn't actually mean to do that. I think
I just had a trailer hit and show up here today. And I'm like, I didn't really need that trailer hitch and 3 new car seats. Didn't need those either. My kids have even aged out. And so are you just a specific point there? You're able to track lead from source, generally multi-touch too hard, but lead from end source, and then and show rate, and then revenue, or you would invest more in analytics to get to revenue. So, if Meta drove your show rates, but hey, they were all implants or whatever like that. Like, are you there? What do you track all the way?
We're getting there for sure. We use Jarvis. And so we have Dentrix Ascend and use Jarvis on top of that to really track all the way, like revenue all the way through. So I think we're in our early phases of really rolling out with that platform. And I think that's kind of where I'm excited to see this go. We have our CAC to LTV ratios. We have a general understanding, but I think we'll get more clarity in that. And then we'll continue to get clarity. So I think if anything, I'd want to, put more resources to help us get there faster, right? Like, how do we figure out how to really drill in even deeper than we already are from an analytics side and tie it all together?
Yeah, it's not easy. Healthcare makes it almost impossible to know every touch and all that stuff. But hey, we can get closer and closer every day. Guys, and what you heard there is Kaela's trying to understand not just how many leads are driven, but show rates. And so understanding call center effectiveness, online appointment versus call versus lead form, show rates, very important. Net new booked appointment versus mama just calling back in to get a script filled if you're an MSO, or get her kiddo back in. That's not net new. So Kaela's trying to track all of it, and then which platforms are driving the best quality leads, not just the highest volume leads, to make the numbers look good. CPL, and showing that CPL, or cost per booked appointment, went down and leads and volume went up, but then the show rate is terrible. Eventually PE figures it out and says, yeah, but like our Atlanta studio is not improving in revenue. So Kaela, it doesn't add up. So guys, the bullshit only lasts so long. I think that's interesting. A question for you, Kaela, I've been pondering on. Someone asked me the other day, hey, with chat taking a lot of the search traffic, and I don't think it's a lot yet, but a meaningful amount of search traffic, are you worried that Google Ads becomes less effective? I don't want to give you my answer to that. I'm curious what you think, because you're sharp. And I was like, maybe my answer is dumb. What do you think? Are you worried?
No, I'm still a Google ads component. Like,
it's the majority of lead flow for every MSO and DSO.
Yeah,
it is.
I don't think I'll ever be like, oh, Google ads is out. I think Google ads will stick around. I think if I had to guess with Google, they're just going to get even smarter and outsmart like OpenAI soon. And I think they'll figure out a way to get even more money from me, I'm sure. But
and in dental, y'all have LSAs, you got PMAT, you got all kinds of things that some MSO type stuff doesn't have. I'm not worried either. And I think y'all hear the hesitation in Kaela's voice, same as mine. Like, we have not noticed lead flow going down at all for a single client. So if anything, if your AIO type stuff is really good, you'll capture whatever is being lost, because I think people are still looking for care on Google, but they're researching symptoms, conditions on chat potentially.
Yeah. I think that's going to be one of the interesting parts too of like, I think treatment conversion once you're in the chair will be a different story. And like, I've seen my sister do this. I don't know how like many people do this, but like taking x-ray or taking something that you're getting from a doctor and uploading that into ChatGPT. I'm not there yet personally.
I would do it. I like it. I like your system. It's ballsy.
Like uploading that into ChatGPT and being like, what's wrong with me? Or like, what's my doctor going to say? Or what could be wrong? I feel like that's what the younger generation is really going to do. Yeah. My sister actually was the one who like, she's only 2 years younger than I am, but she like stopped me the one day I was with her. I'm typing something into Google. She's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? And she opened up ChatGPT and typed the same question. And so like just kind of seeing that transition, even a 2-year age gap of how she uses and search versus how I'm still doing it. I'm like, oh my God, am I my mom right now? Like, I feel like I'm like, am I aging myself by using Google? But I still think it's going to be relevant. Google is still, for me, more intent-based and like, I'm going to make an appointment.
Chat does a great job of summarizing Google search results, so I don't have to click on 10 links to do all the research, myself. Yeah. So it's good for that. But treatment stuff, I don't, not yet.
I will say too, though, I did see like ChatGPT with the agent side of things. And I did type in like, book me an appointment at 10 Upper West Side. And it just took so long to actually go through that whole process and just going to the website and doing it myself. Yeah. But it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. You can do that.
Eventually, I think in the next couple, and probably in the next year and a half, you'll be like, I don't feel that well. Can you find the best urgent care dental and book me an appointment? And if y'all are able to receive the appointments through chat, I think it'll be an AI talking to an AI to get the human. And then
oh my gosh,
the AI is going to be like, why do I need you, human? You're just kind of annoying.
Yeah. There's going to be like robots walking on the street. There already are, but,
Yeah, dude, you saw that Black Mirror episode, and now we see that China was just parading them. Oh my God, this is nightmare fuel. I'm not worried about it yet. Also, ChatGPT, OpenAI, and the rest of them are losing so much money that eventually one day someone comes and says, turn on ads, you mofos. I'm tired of not making money, right? And so that day's coming, and it'll just give us another thing to serve ads for us dinosaurs that still love Google. Kaela, this was awesome. I expected it to be. I knew it to be. Tend is extremely mighty and very advanced. You heard it in not just Reddit, in their media, in their measurement. Kaela knows what's up. Where can they find you?
Hello10.com.
They're going to look for you, though.
They're going to look for you, yes. Okay. All right. You can find me on LinkedIn, Kaela Shupe.
And it's Shupe like salt and pepper.
Shupe like salt and pepper, yeah.
Thank you, Kaela. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Alex. Appreciate it.